we'll be starting a new topic. Topic would be on data. Most of these would be something that we've done in year 7 and 8 as well. But the new ones will be starting from tomorrow, okay? Specifically in year 8, we talked about the different types of data. The data that we collect or display and analyze, they would be two types of those data. We've got the categorical and also the numerical. Categorical is also called sometimes a qualitative data, whilst numerical data would be the quantitative data. Okay, now there would be what how we analyze the data. We would be figuring out what would be the center of the data, and normally when they would be numerical data, then we've got either the mean or the median for us to determine the middle. But if it's a categorical data, obviously there wouldn't be any numbers, and therefore we would be able to figure out what the mode is or the most frequent. So just like probably if you want to figure out what would be the most popular takeaway food, right? Then it won't be numbers, so you won't be able to add them and then divide by the number of scores, but you would just figure out what would be the one with the highest frequency, and that would be your mode. Yeah. Now, sometimes the figuring out the center of the data wouldn't be enough, and therefore you want to figure out what would be the measure of spread. Okay, so when we say spread, what would be the spread of the data? What would be the range? What's the lowest? What's the highest? Are they scattered across, or are they clustered somewhere? Okay, so that would be what you call your measure of spread. Okay, now there would be different diagrams that we talked about. One would be, of course, our frequency tables. We've got the stem and leaf plots. In here, it's called stem plots. Okay, in short, it's called stem plot. And then we've got the dot plots. We've got different graphs as well that we use: bar graph or column graphs, pie charts, or what do you call them? The sector graph. Okay, and then we've got the picture graphs or pictograms. And then in year 8, we talked about histograms, and also with it, we talked about the frequency polygon. Okay, and those sorts of things that we talked about in year 7 and 8. And of course, after we've collected the data, displayed the data, and analyzed the data. When we say analyze, that's when we figure out the middle of the score and the spread of the data. Then from those, we would be able to make our conclusions, right? And maybe from there, you can again start asking questions and find out and start a new research or a new question. Okay. Now, as we've said, we've got two types of data. We've got the categorical and also the numerical data. With categorical data, there are two types as well. You've got the nominal and ordinal. Nominal, name, so it's naming the category. When you say ordinal, there's order in the category. Okay, so when you say naming the category, it could be what colors, the most popular color of the pencil case. So each of those colors would be named, or the most popular TV show, that would be name as well. But when you say ordinal, it could be how well are you progressing during the remote learning. Then they would be in categories. You would probably say excellent, good, satisfactory, not satisfactory, and poor. That would be what there's an order, right? So it's ordinal. When we say numerical data, there are two types as well. You've got your discrete and also your continuous. When you say discrete, that's the data wherein the numbers would be counted. Okay, so you could probably say what's the average number of TVs in a household. So you would have to count the number of TVs per household and get the average of that, and that would be discrete. Okay, but when you say continuous, it would be a data that's derived from measuring. could be, what would be the average height of Year 9 students? And that would be continuous, okay? What else is there? You've got there, classify each of the following data sets as categorical data or numerical data. When we say favorite sport watched on TV, then that would be something that's categorical, right? Because you would have to name the favorite sport. Okay, quantity of books carried in a school bag by 20 Year 9 students, then you have to count the number of books, and therefore that would be numerical. Specifically, that would be discrete. Okay, question A, that would be nominal categorical. Okay, cars passing your home each hour of a day. So you would have to use numbers there. So it's numerical data, and you're not measuring the sizes of the cars, but you're just counting them. So with that one, it would be, again, discrete. Okay, eye colors of 100 preschool children, then it would be categorical, and it's naming the colors. Okay, so it would be nominal categorical. Okay, classify each of the following data sets into correct groups, stating the data set as categorical or nominal or ordinal or numerical and discrete or continuous. So similar to the previous question. And you could probably just have a look at the answers there for that question there. Okay, let's have a look at these types of data collection. So of course, when you collect data, there would be different ways of collecting the data. One is through survey. This year, we've got our census in Australia. Yesterday was the census day, right? Wherein your parents would have gotten a letter with the instructions of how to fill out the census. Okay, so that's with the survey. Also, when you survey, sometimes the question that you have does not require that everyone does it, right? But it would just be a sample of the whole population. For the following data collection activities, define whether the amount of data collected is a sample or population and what type of data collection was used. Is it census, is it survey, or is it experimental and random, stratified, or biased? Okay, so when you say random, it would probably be putting all your names in a fishbowl and then you grab one of the names. Okay, when you say stratified, it's actually called stratified random sampling. So when you say stratified random sampling, for example, you've got the whole school, this is all the students of St. Andrew's College. And of course, when you have Year 7s, there would be more students in Year 7s and 8s rather than in Year 11 and 12s. So if you're asking what would be the uniform that they would be voting for example, and you just want to get the sample, right, or a number of students, not the whole population. So when you say stratified, of course, you would get a bigger sample from Year 7s and 8s rather than with Year 11 and 12s. Okay, so it would be in proportion to the actual number of students for each of the year groups. Does that make sense? So that's when you say stratified random sampling. But when you have random sampling, you just put all the names from Year 7 to 12 in a bowl or randomize that and then get a student. It doesn't matter if you get all Year 7s, all Year 8s or whatever, okay? But with stratified, there's a bit of a structure of how many kids you will be getting from Year 7, how many kids you will be getting from Year 8, Year 9, Year 10, Year 11, and Year 12. Example 4 there, a health club is planning to conduct a survey to research the needs of its members. 50 members of the club will be asked to participate in the survey. The club has 120 male adults, 90 male adolescents, 60 female adult, and 30 female adolescent members. Determine the number of members required from each group to perform a stratified sample survey that is an accurate approximation of the needs of the whole population. So again, because the number of people from each of the groups would not be the same, then you'd want to use a stratified sample or stratified sampling, okay? So with this one, you would have to add all of them together. So you'd want, the club has 120 adults, male. Let's write them down. Next, 90 male adolescent, 60 female adults. And then lastly, you've got 30 female adolescents. Okay, so first thing you want to do would be to get the total of the population. So you've got what, 120 plus 90 plus 60 plus 30, that's 150, 210, that's 300. Yeah, and you want to figure out the percentage of age. Okay, so with male adults, you can grab your calculator. You could go 120 divided by 300. That's 40%, okay, of the whole population. Then you go 90 divided by 300. That's 30%. 60 divided by 300, that's 20%. And half of 60 is 30, so half of 20 is 10. Yeah, and would that be 100%? So there's 70, yeah, 100. Okay, so what else do we need to do? To research the needs of members, 50 members of the club will be asked to participate. So if you need 50, you want 40% of 50. What would that be? Go 50 times 0.4. 0.4, that's 20 male adults. Whoa, male adults. And then the next one would be 30% of 50. You go 50 times 0.3, you get 15. Then you want adolescent males here. So you want to get 15 of your respondents coming from the male adolescents. Does that make sense? And then the next one would be 20% of 50, and 50 times 0.2, you get 10 female adults. And then lastly, you've got 10% of 50, then that's half of 10. That's female adolescents. Okay, so then that means you need 20 from the first group, 15 from the next group, 10 from the third, and then 5 from the last one there. Okay, and what else do we need? The accurate approximation of the needs of the population. Okay, now sometimes this example here would be like perfect because you don't have any decimals, but sometimes you get some questions wherein when you figure out the number, you would get decimals, and what do? Just round them. Okay, also sometimes when you round them, sometimes you don't get to 100%, sometimes you get 101, sometimes you get 99%. Okay, don't be fussed. It's just use whatever you got as your answer there. But if you got 102%, then probably you made a mistake in the previous steps, so please check your answer. But if it's 101 and then when you round it and then 99, then that's just happens with some of the questions. Stay awesome, and I'll see you next week. Okay, see ya, bye.